How about we bring this gentleman on right now, Xander, which the host of the NFL Matchup Show and ESPN national correspondent, my good friend Sal Paolantonio. Sal, how you doing?
Another week of This Week in Pro Football with Pat Callahan. I love it. Thank you.
Wait a moment. I know, Sal, and you make it a hell of a lot better, I want to assure you. Most of those followers and listeners that I'm talking about, at least relative to my show, I know are coming on to see what you have to say. But
yeah, congratulations, by the way, to Jacob Media Sports. Incredible growth. I think largely probably has to do with the fact that he's got quality programming, one, and two, people want to just gobble up any bit of news about the Philadelphia Eagles.
That's the truth. That is the truth. The Eagles are the story. Phillies keep trying to elbow their way in with free agent signings, but when you're sitting at 12-1 and you're just dominating everybody, you deserve it. You deserve the 3-inch headlines, and the Eagles are getting them right now. So let's touch on Sal. There's a number of things I want to go through with you, but in these few minutes before our first break, the Eagles go into Chicago. I mentioned a trap game now. I mean, but this team, I don't know. Do the Eagles have a mentality that even allows them to suffer a trap game?
I don't think this is a trap game. This team is too good and too focused. This quarterback is on too much of a mission. You heard him this week. They try to, lob Micah Parsons questions at him, and he just said, "I'm focused on the Bears."
Right.
And man, doesn't that sound like Nick Saban and Bill Belichick and Tom Brady? I mean, and he played for Nick Saban. This is the mentality that he has brought to the Philadelphia Eagles. It's quite remarkable.
Yeah. Yeah, and he sticks with it. And they dispatched the Giants last week, Sal, 48-22. It wasn't even that close. I wanted to ask you, too, that in the NFC East, Dallas nearly stumbled last week against Houston. Matter of fact, they were very close to stumbling, losing up until the final minute and a half when Zeke Elliott scored a late touchdown. Is that emblematic, in your opinion, of a significant gap between the Eagles and the Cowboys, or did the Cowboys just have a one-off day?
Well, I think the biggest difference between the Eagles and the Cowboys is the quarterback position. Jalen Hurts only has 3 interceptions. Patrick Mahomes has 11, by the way, if you want to get into the MVP debate. He's got 11 interceptions. Only Davis Mills and Matt Ryan have more among the starters.
Yep.
Now, Dak Prescott's had 8 interceptions since he returned from the injury. 8 alone since he returned. And Jalen Hurts has only 3. To me, that's the big difference. It's the old adage, if your quarterback doesn't turn the ball over, it's like having a number 4 hitter in baseball who doesn't strike out.
Yeah.
You're going to be in a lot of football games and have an opportunity to win a lot of games. For me, Pat, and I know I'm getting off on a little bit of a tangent, Jalen Hurts is the hands-down MVP of this league going into Week 15. The Eagles have the best record at 12-1. They have scored the most points per game. They have the highest point differential. He's accounted for 32 touchdowns, second only to Mahomes' 33, but like I said, only 3 interceptions. He has the highest quarterback rating in the league. The object of the game is to score points and to win games. And Jalen Hurts has done that better than any other quarterback in the NFL.
Yep. And along with that, and maybe this is what Micah Parsons was trying to say. I think it's kind of a 10% of team by myself. But what Parsons seemed to be saying is that there are other elements to that team and why they're so successful. It is an odd thing, Sal, I think. You look at San Francisco, excellent defense, and to me, an underperforming offense for the same reason as you say. The quarterback position is vacant. And you have other teams, strong teams. You mentioned the Cowboys. Good defense. Now they're a little shaky at quarterback. The Eagles don't have any shaky position, Sal, seemingly anywhere on either the offense or the defense.
Well, I think you have to really focus on Hurts. I mean, this is Hurts' team. This is Hurts' NFL season. I mean, we have rarely seen this kind of dominant performance at the quarterback position where you're 12-1. And you're a dual threat quarterback who can win from the pocket. Everything, and I've got a whole bunch of notes on Jalen Hurts that I have observed on film study and that we have analyzed here at NFL Films. And it's quite amazing. He's seeing the field better. His decisiveness, the ball is coming out. I have never seen this, Pat. I've covered the game for 30 years. Last year, He was snapped to throw well over 3 seconds, near the bottom of the NFL. This year, snapped to throw under 2.5 seconds, third in the NFL among starting quarterbacks.
Yeah,
it's a remarkable turnaround.
Yeah, it is.
And that comes from study, Pat. Yeah. Real schoolwork. I'm talking about real hard study. Yeah. You just don't. That just doesn't happen overnight like that. It just doesn't. You got to get in the film room. You got to get hard coaching from your coaches. You got to grind through that. Yep. You got to be smart enough to pick it up. And he's got all of those factors, every one of them. Yep.
Well, when we get back, Sal, I want to touch too on the MVP race, and I think Hurts deserves it too. But I'm going to state my case as to why Patrick Mahomes is always mentioned, always, and will always be in the discussion. Sometimes it's unfair. So we'll do that. I also want to look at the other game in the NFC East this week, the so-called playing game between the Commanders and the Giants, and we'll look around the league. All this with Sal Paolantonio coming up next on This Week in Pro Football. All right, welcome back. This Week in Pro Football, week number 15, the National Football League here on Jacob Sports. The great Sal Paolantonio joining me here. Sal, during that break, I was just trying to amplify what you were saying. But here's the point I make about Mahomes and why he's always in this discussion. Did you see the play last week? He's running parallel to the line of scrimmage. He's escaping the rush, and he literally lobs the ball over the head of a Denver defender into the hands of Jerick McKinnon, who proceeds to run 55 yards for a touchdown. Mahomes makes those 4 o'clock window plays that end up on SportsCenter and others, whereas Hurts is just methodically winning games by wide margins. But I think that's why you'll never not see Mahomes' name in that conversation.
Oh, and Patrick Mahomes deserves to be in the conversation for sure. And, you know, we are in week 15, Pat. So there's plenty of time to go. At this moment in time, though, Jalen Hurts is, to me, odds-on favorite to win the MVP and should win it. And, you know, people come to your show, have always come to your show looking for specifics. And I think it's very important to look at specifics when it comes to Jalen Hurts. Right now, you know, I have been in locker rooms and I've been talking to coaches my entire career. And this year, after every game, I've gone to players and defensive coaches that have faced the Eagles and said, okay, what happened? Why didn't you stop him? So here specifically is what they're looking at. Number one, he's very fast and very elusive when he runs the ball, but he's also very tough and strong. You know, when he squats upwards of 450 to 475 to 500 pounds. He's a very strong runner. He's not like Michael Vick, who was just an absolute speedster.
Right.
Jalen Hurts is a strong runner, so they're not ready for his strength and his shiftiness and his speed. Secondly, what guys are seeing is Jalen Hurts realizes no matter what defense you play against him, like, okay, let's look at the Giants. They tried to spy him.
Yeah.
They've number 55, Jahid Ward. They used him on several plays to spy him. And Wink Martindale looked at it and said, you know what? It's not working. First of all, Hurts is much faster. Second of all, you're taking a guy out of coverage. He's killing our zone defense in passing game.
Right.
So they abandoned that. So you try him rushing with 4, have 2 linebackers, 5 out in the coverage. That doesn't work. The only thing that has worked against Hurts, and for some reason, Pat, and it's important for people to realize this because this is coming in the playoffs. When you blitz Jalen Hurts, there is a possibility of upsetting this Eagles defense, the offense. Detroit did it early going week 1. Way back in week 1, they were successful.
Right.
Cowboys did it in the first half in Philadelphia when they lost to the Eagles. Giants did it a little bit because Hurts will take sacks, 36 sacks. He won't turn the ball over. That's obviously a coaching point between Hurts, Sirianni, and Steichen.
Right.
He'll take sacks, but he won't turn the ball over. So if you're not blitzing Jalen Hurts, you're really wasting your time, honestly.
Yeah. Yep. He has taken the number of sacks, but the stats otherwise, like you had pointed out, completion percentage, he is 4th, Mahomes 15, and yards per completion, Hurts is 3rd in the league in yards per completion. And that tells you a lot, right? It tells you that, yeah, he's not throwing 60 times a game, but when he does, it means something. And the other thing, Sal, that I noticed about him, and because you were talking about this earlier in the season, is that read option. He seems to be, there's very little hesitation this year in handing the ball off to Miles Sanders, who's having a heck of a year. He's having a career year. But I think you're seeing now a little bit less wear and tear on Jalen Hurts. They're handing that ball off, and they're getting a lot of success out of it.
Yeah, the RPOs are working. The zone reads are working. He's been better against the blitz. He has no interceptions against the blitz all year long. None. 12 touchdown passes and no interceptions, but he will take sacks. Yeah. But he won't take the big negative plays. And that is something that Sirianni is pounding and Shane Steichen is pounding. We don't want the interceptions, and it's working. I mean, I just think it's very tough to defend against this guy right now. I really do.
Yeah. Well, it's the old.
Pat, people accuse me of being an Eagles fan. I didn't grow up in Philadelphia. Right. I'm not an Eagles fan, but I'm a fan of this player because of the way he handles himself on and off the football field.
Right. Well, it's the old Herm Edwards, you know. Any drive that ends with a kick is not bad. So I guess you're right about taking the sacks, but he is taking a number of them. But boy, as you point out, the Eagles have 3 guys. They're the only team in the league, 3 guys with 10 touchdowns. 10 have scored 10 touchdowns. It would be Hurts.
So how are you going to beat this team?
That's right.
I don't know right now. I mean, I think they're going to beat Chicago, and I think they're going to beat Dallas. I do.
Yeah. Well, all right. So we'll spend a minute. Let's talk about the 3-10 Bears, who obviously are
1 minute, Pat. Let's go 30 seconds. Go ahead.
Okay.
3-10 Bears. They lost 6 straight, Pat.
I know, 6 straight, and Justin Fields for a while.
Fields at all from Chicago.
Yeah,
there'll be more resistance from the wind off of Lake Erie. That's more. Lake Michigan.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think the Bears do not present much of a threat to the Eagles. Only if as I mentioned or teased in the beginning, whether the Eagles were completely looking south to Dallas before this game even started. It's the old adage, Sal. If you give a 3-10 team reason to hang around in the first quarter, now you might have a problem. But I think if the Eagles bring the hammer down early, I think it'll be just like last Sunday's game.
And, here's the funniest thing. So the Eagles lead the league in points scored in the first quarter and are outscoring the opposition by almost 2-1 in the first half. And the Titans win the coin toss and give the Eagles the football.
I know. Isn't that something how that's happened now? Now it's the default position just to kick off, even if you're kicking off to the best offensive team in the league. Yeah.
Why would you do that? I don't understand it. So, I mean, the Eagles will get up on Chicago, and Justin Fields will have to try to throw to get back in the game, and it's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
It's 75% of the games are won by the team leading at halftime. 75% in NFL history.
Yeah, unless you're the Raiders. Okay,
that's very good, Pat.
That's it. Yeah, they're the other 25.
Yes.
All right, Sal. Let's look at that other game. You're talking with the great Sal Paolantonio, the author of How Football Defines America and the host of the NFL Matchup Show. Sal, the Giants and Commanders hooking up again off a bye week for Washington, and the Giants just getting blown out by Philadelphia. I think the Giants are almost out of gas. How do you see this game Sunday night?
Well, the fact that it's at night and in Washington, I think it's a tough sledding for the Giants. First of all, the Commanders' defense is very underrated. They lead the NFL in hits on the quarterback in half of the last 5 weeks. That's hits, knockdowns, and sacks. So when you put hands on the quarterback, and that to me is the most important stat defensively because of the way the game is officiated now in the National Football League, and because if you get up early and you have to force the other team to throw against you, they hit the quarterback, Pat, more than any other team for the last 5 weeks. And they've got some playmakers, and Taylor Heineke can distribute the ball, and he's doing it very, very quickly. So I like Washington a lot in this game. I'd be absolutely shocked if they didn't win this game and win it easily, really.
Giants 0-3-1, Sal, in their last 4. They're averaging 20 points a game, and they have a minus 33-point differential. And I think Saquon Barkley is almost on E. There's something wrong with him, and if he's not healthy,
No, there is for sure. No question. I mean, he's got that stinger neck injury. He hurt it in practice last Wednesday. But boy, oh boy, they couldn't block Brandon Graham.
I know.
And in my view, Washington is just as good up front and younger and faster.
Yeah. All right, so I want to just hit on a couple other divisions here with you. I got a couple minutes left here to get your take.
Tampa Bay, do the whole hour together.
Tampa Bay goes into San Francisco last week and gets run into the Bay. Basically 35-7, Sal. If you watched any of it, I don't think it was that close against a third-string quarterback. And I think Tampa Bay looked old, stiff, uninterested. Other than that, they were ready to go. The NFC South is a disaster. The AFC South is a disaster. But tell me, what is this Tampa Bay team? Are they even a playoff threat at this point, assuming they want to win that division?
No, they're not a threat. There's no chemistry or timing between Tom Brady and his two top wide receivers. And that's a major problem because they're throwing it 50, 52, 54 times a game.
Yep.
And, of course, that's a big mistake with a 45-year-old quarterback on the road. It's just dumb. So they've totally lost their way. I don't know what's going to happen to Tom Brady next season, but whatever it is, he's got to fix what's currently going on with him.
There's some fascinating decisions are going to be made in the offseason, Sal, I think, with some of these aging quarterbacks. It's funny how the age caught up. I mean, it looked like it was going the other way. These guys were, Russell Wilson, Matt Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. They seemed like they were just going to go on and name their retirement age. Well, it seems like something else has intervened, and it'll be a fun offseason seeing what happens with all those names.
Pat, your statistic was so telling. There have been 54 different starting quarterbacks this year in the National Football League. Is that the number that you had?
Yep, that's the number.
Okay. So I didn't realize it was that high. I knew it was high, but that's the reason why right now in the NFL, points scored per game, per team is at a 5-year low.
Right.
The NFL knows it has a problem.
Right.
With points scored. That's why Troy Vincent said on NFL Network this week from the owners' meetings in Texas that they may review roughing the passer, may make it a reviewable penalty.
Right.
But they realize they've got to do a better job of protecting quarterbacks. They just do.
Yeah. That's amazing.
And quarterbacks have to do a better job of protecting themselves.
That's true. Well, we talked about that a minute ago. And that's why one of the things I think Jalen Hurts, along with 50 other things he's doing well, he's doing that well too, by handing the ball off. Let those other guys do it. And I think it's working well, and he looks great.
Distribute the ball like a point guard. He's got plenty of weapons.
Yeah.
Dallas Goedert is very close to coming back. Right. I think this team is trending up.
Yeah. At 12-1, they're trending up. So, I mean, that is a heck of a barometer. Yeah. So, all right, Sal, we have blown through this segment. As you said, we could talk for the whole hour. And one of these days, I'm going to insist you do it. But thank you very much for spending this time with me. And where are you doing any play-by-play this week? Or are you?
No, Pat, I do 4 a year. And last week was my last one. Great. There's only so much this old man can do, Pat.
All right. Well, I appreciate that very much and look forward to talking to you next week, Sal. All right.
Pat, I'm going to take Christmas week off, and we will talk on the flip side of Christmas, Pat.
All right, terrific. We'll have a
Merry Christmas to you and your family, and to everybody who watches This Week in Pro Football, and everybody at Jacob Media Sports. Thank you for having me, and Merry Christmas, and we'll talk to you on the other side.
All right. All right, Sal. Well done. Thank you very much, Sal Pal, joining us there. And I tell you, he's bullish on the Philadelphia Eagles, certainly. And why not? Why wouldn't you be a team that I believe is head and shoulders above the rest of the NFC? And hopefully no stumbles in the immediate future. All right, when we get back, my arch nemesis, Tony Cotillo, is going to join me. We're going to talk some playoff fantasy football and some Week 14 busts that dragged a lot of people into the abyss. We'll do that next on This Week in Pro Football.